There comes a moment in life when you realize that the loudest things are not always the most powerful. True strength does not shout. It does not brag. It does not need applause to prove its worth. Real power lives in silence. Silence is not emptiness. Silence is focus. Silence is discipline. Silence is the choice to rise without noise, to grow without attention, to build yourself without announcing every step. Your vision is one of the most valuable things you possess, and silence acts as a shield around it. When you keep your dreams, plans, and goals quiet, you protect them from doubts, negativity, and the opinions of people who cannot see what you see. Most people respond to your vision based on their limitations, not your potential. They judge your dreams through the lens of their own fears, their own insecurities, their own failures. And if you speak too soon, their disbelief can plant seeds of doubt inside you before your dream even has a chance to grow. Silence gives your vision a safe space to develop. It allows your ideas to mature without pressure, without comparison, without the noise of the world trying to shape it for you. When you stay silent about what you're building, you give your goals the privacy they need to strengthen. A vision in silence is like a seed planted in rich soil. It grows quietly, hidden from the world, but its roots become deeper, stronger, and unshakable. In silence, you become the guardian of your own destiny. You stop giving people the opportunity to speak fear into your plans. You prevent outsiders from influencing what you believe you are capable of. Silence puts you in control. It protects your confidence. It protects your direction. It protects the fragile early stages of something powerful that is still taking form inside you. And the beautiful thing about protecting your vision in silence is that it allows you to focus on execution instead of explanation. You no longer waste energy trying to justify your dreams. Instead, you devote all your strength to building them. Your silence becomes a shield that keeps your purpose pure, undiluted, and aligned with the path only you can see. A discipline is not created in loud moments. It is forged in the quiet, unseen spaces of your life. Silence gives you the environment you need to strengthen your habits, sharpen your routines, and commit fully to your growth without distractions pulling you in every direction. When you embrace silence, you remove the noise that constantly tempts you to drift away from your priorities. You stop reacting to everything around you and start acting with intention. In silence, you learn to sit with yourself, your thoughts, your goals, your weaknesses, and your potential. This is where true discipline is born. It's in those early mornings when the world is still asleep and you choose to get up and work. It's in those quiet nights when you study, train, practice, or plan while others are scrolling, partying, or wasting time. Silence becomes the training ground where you build consistency, patience, and self-control. Silence also teaches you the power of delayed gratification. Instead of seeking immediate praise or recognition, you learn to trust the long process. You train yourself to keep showing up even when no one is watching, even when no one is cheering you on. That private devotion builds a level of discipline that cannot be shaken by criticism, failure, or slow progress. When you work in silence, you realize that discipline is not about being motivated. It's about being committed. It's about doing what needs to be done even when you don't feel like doing it. It's about holding yourself accountable, not because people are expecting results, but because you expect them from yourself. Silence removes excuses. It forces you to face the truth of your habits, your strengths, and your weaknesses. There is no noise to hide behind, no external chaos to blame, just you, your choices, and the future you are building. And when you master that quiet space, you build a discipline so strong that nothing outside of you has the power to break it. Clarity is something most people chase their entire lives, yet few ever truly find it. That's because clarity doesn't appear in chaos, noise, or distraction. It appears in silence. When you allow yourself to step away from the constant noise of the world, you finally create the mental space needed to understand what you really want, who you truly are, and where you honestly need to go. Silence clears the mental fog created by other people's expectations, society's pressures, and your own overthinking. It removes the nonstop chatter that clouds your judgment and blocks your intuition. When you become quiet, you begin to hear something far more important than the outside world. You begin to hear yourself. In silence, your thoughts slow down, your emotions settle, and your mind begins to reveal the truths you've been ignoring. You start to see the difference between what you want and what you've been told to want. You recognize which paths are truly yours and which ones you were only following out of habit or fear. Silence becomes the mirror that reflects your inner world with honesty. It is in these quiet moments that you evaluate your life without distraction. You question, what matters to me? What am I doing this for? What direction actually aligns with my soul? These answers do not come in moments of noise. They rise from stillness. Silence also helps you separate real priorities from temporary impulses. It gives you the clarity to distinguish between what is urgent and what is important, between what drains you and what fuels you, between what deserves your energy and what must be released. This kind of clarity is not loud. It is gentle but powerful. And the more you spend time in silence, the stronger your inner voice becomes. You begin to trust your instincts again. You start making decisions based on wisdom rather than pressure. Your direction becomes sharper, your purpose becomes cleaner, and your path becomes more certain. In a world overflowing with noise, distractions are everywhere. They come from people, social media, responsibilities, and even your own thoughts. Silence becomes your greatest weapon because it cuts through that chaos and removes everything that does not serve your growth. When you choose silence, you choose to step away from the noise that constantly tries to pull you off your path. Distractions are dangerous not because they are loud, but because they are subtle. They creep into your routine slowly. One notification, one conversation, one unnecessary task at a time, until your focus is scattered and your energy is drained. A silence blocks these invisible thieves from stealing your attention. It creates a border around your mind, keeping nonsense on the outside and protecting your purpose on the inside. Silence also exposes what is truly distracting you. When there is no noise to fill the space, you begin to notice the things you've been allowing into your life, the habits, the people, the thoughts that don't contribute to your progress. In the quiet, you begin to recognize how much time you waste, how often you react without thinking, and how easily you get pulled into things that don't matter. Silence brings awareness, and awareness brings control. When you remove distractions through silence, your mind becomes sharper. You work faster, think clearer, and make decisions with confidence. Instead of responding to everything around you, you begin to filter what deserves your attention. Silence teaches you that not everything requires a reaction. Not every situation deserves your presence, and not every person needs a response. Most importantly, silence frees your mental space. Without distractions constantly buzzing around you, your brain finally has room to breathe, to create, to strategize, and to plan your next moves. And silence reminds you that your focus is limited and precious, and wasting it on the wrong things is the biggest obstacle between you and the life you want. Focus is one of the most powerful abilities a person can develop, yet it is also one of the rarest. In today's world, your attention is constantly being pulled in 1,000 directions. Every sound, every notification, every opinion, every distraction tries to claim a piece of your mind. That is why silence is not just peaceful, it is essential. Silence gives you the environment your mind needs to lock onto what truly matters without being scattered by the noise of life. When you embrace silence, your mind stops jumping thought to thought. Your mental energy, which once divided into small, powerless fragments, gathers into a single, powerful being. This is when real focus begins. Silence sharpens your concentration like a blade. It helps you cut through confusion and channel all your strength into one direction, one task, one goal. In silence, you stop multitasking and start deep working. You enter a state where time slows down, distractions fade away, and you connect fully with what you're doing. You become more productive in 1 hour of silence than in a whole day filled with noise. A silence turns your mind into a disciplined machine capable of producing results that once felt impossible. Silence also strengthens your ability to resist temptation. When your environment is quiet, you are less influenced by impulses, cravings, and interruptions. You don't feel the urge to check your phone every minute. You don't seek validation or entertainment. Instead, you build the mental muscles needed to stay committed, stay centered, and stay locked in. This kind of focus doesn't happen on its own. It is trained in silence. Over time, silence rewires your mind. It teaches you how to ignore what is irrelevant. It trains you to redirect your thoughts back to your purpose whenever they wander. It builds a level of concentration that becomes your superpower in everything you do, your work, your studies, your relationships, your physical goals, your dreams. And as your focus grows stronger, you begin to realize that most people fail not because they lack talent, but because they lack the ability to concentrate. A silence gives you that ability. It gives you the mental strength to stay on track, finish what you start, and follow your path with intensity, clarity, and unwavering determination. Observation is a skill that can change your entire life, yet most people never develop it because they are too busy talking, reacting, and rushing. Silence gives you the space to slow down and truly see what is happening around you. When you stop trying to be heard and start paying attention, the world reveals information, patterns, and truths that most people completely overlook. Silence sharpens your senses. You begin to notice the behavior of people, their intentions, their energy, their consistency, their sincerity. You see who is real and who is pretending. You notice who supports you and who secretly competes with you. You observe who shows up when you're winning and who disappears when you need help. These things are invisible to those who never stop talking, but silence makes them crystal clear. In quiet moments, you study situations more deeply. You catch details others miss, the tone behind words, the body language, the timing of actions, the hidden opportunities buried inside challenges. A silence turns you into a strategist. You learn when to move, when to wait, when to speak, and when to let things unfold on their own. Your decisions become wiser because they are based on observation, not emotion. Silence also helps you understand yourself. You start to observe your own reactions, habits, triggers, and strengths. You notice what drains you, what inspires you, what motivates you, and what distracts you. This self-awareness becomes a powerful tool because you cannot improve what you don't understand. Through silence, you also observe the world more deeply, the environment you're in, the opportunities being created, the trends people ignore, the doors that are opening without noise. You start seeing chances others fail to recognize simply because they are too distracted by their own voice or the voices of others. When you become an observer, you stop living blindly. You act from knowledge, not guessing. You move with clarity, not confusion. You respond with intention, not impulse. And the more you listen and observe, the more you begin to navigate life with precision. Silence gives you this advantage, an advantage most people will never have because they are too busy making noise instead of absorbing wisdom. Observation is a hidden strength that only develops when you learn to quiet your environment and your mind. In silence, you become more aware of the world around you, its patterns, its opportunities, its warnings, and its lessons. Most people move through life distracted, missing important signals because they are too busy reacting, talking, or chasing noise. Silence slows everything down and allows you to truly see. When you stop talking so much, you start listening more deeply. You hear what people really mean, not just what they say. You notice their intentions, their energy, their consistency, and their behavior. Silence reveals a person's character far better than their words ever could. It shows you who supports you, who drains you, who respects you, and who pretends to care. This awareness protects you from being missiled or manipulated. Silence also improves your ability to read situations. You begin to sense when something is wrong, when an opportunity is emerging, or when a decision needs to be made. You recognize patterns that others overlook because they are lost in noise. In silence, you observe the small details, the shifts in tone, the changes in atmosphere, the habits that predict future outcomes. And beyond people and situations, silence helps you observe yourself. You notice your emotions, your habits, your internal reactions. You see which thoughts empower you and which ones weaken you. This kind of self-awareness is a powerful advantage because it allows you to adjust your behavior, improve your mindset, and avoid repeating destructive cycles. Ultimately, silence sharpens your instincts. It turns you into someone who notices everything but says little. You gather information quietly, understand deeply, and make decisions from a place of wisdom rather than impulse. Your energy is your life force, your motivation, your emotional strength, your creativity, your clarity. But energy can be drained quickly when you surround yourself with noise, chaos, or unnecessary conversations. Silence becomes a protective shield around your mental and emotional power. It prevents you from giving your energy away to people who don't deserve it or situations that don't matter. In silence, you learn to conserve your strength instead of wasting it on arguments, gossip, drama, or explaining yourself to people committed to misunderstanding you. You stop engaging in meaningless debates. You stop defending your choices to those who never supported you. Silence teaches you that peace is more valuable than being right. Silence also protects you from emotional exhaustion. When you are constantly exposed to noise, complaints, negativity, pressure, and expectations, you absorb it without realizing it. But when you choose silence, you remove yourself from that energy and create a space where you can breathe and reset. Your mind becomes lighter, your emotions become calmer, and your thoughts become clearer. Most importantly, silence helps you create boundaries. You learn to say less, react less, and give less of yourself to things that do not contribute to your growth. You begin to recognize what drains you and what restores you. You become selective with your access, who gets your time, who gets your attention, and who gets your presence. People who protect their energy through silence become harder to manipulate, harder to disturb, and harder to control. Their peace becomes unbreakable because it is rooted in discipline, not noise. Silence turns your energy into something powerful, stable, and deeply guarded. A silence sharpens your senses. When you stop talking and start listening, you begin to notice the world in a completely different way. Most people move too fast and speak too loudly and think too shallowly to truly understand what is happening around them. But when you embrace silence, you slow down enough to see the truth that others ignore. You observe patterns, behaviors, opportunities, and warning signs that stay hidden from those who are constantly distracted. Silence turns you into an observer rather than a reactor. You begin to study people, not judge them, but understand them. You notice who speaks with intention and who speaks to impress. You see who is genuine and who is pretending. Silence gives you the ability to read situations with clarity, see through illusions, and understand the deeper meaning behind actions and words. You also begin to observe yourself, your habits, your triggers, your emotions, your strengths, your weaknesses. Silence becomes a mirror that reflects your inner world. When you observe yourself honestly, you can correct, improve, and evolve. And when you observe life carefully, you start making choices that are strategic instead of impulsive. In silence, you see what others miss. You notice the small opportunities that later become big breakthroughs. You catch the subtle changes that reveal someone's true intentions. You sense when it's time to move forward and when it's time to wait. Observation becomes your quiet intelligence, your private advantage. Your energy is limited and silence protects it like a shield. Every time you argue, explain, defend, or justify yourself, you use energy that could have been invested in your goals. Silence stops you from wasting your energy on people who don't deserve your attention or your emotional effort. It teaches you that not every comment needs a reply. Not every conflict needs your involvement, and not every situation requires your presence. Silence creates emotional distance between you and chaos. When others react, you remain centered. When people try to provoke you, your silence becomes a wall that their negativity cannot penetrate. You stop giving people access to your inner peace. You take back control of your reactions, your emotions, and your mental space. Silence also protects you from draining environments. You start to recognize places, conversations, and relationships that exhaust you, and you walk away quietly. You no longer feel obligated to entertain what depletes you. Instead, you begin choosing what nourishes your spirit, strengthens your mind, and aligns with your purpose. When you protect your energy in silence, preserve your strength for the things that truly matter, your dreams, your discipline, your growth, your peace. You stop fighting unnecessary battles and start investing in the life you want to build. Silence becomes your boundaries. Silence becomes your self-respect. Silence becomes the reason you stay powerful even in a world that wants to drain you. There is a certain strength that only mature minds possess, the strength to remain silent when others provoke, criticize, or misunderstand you. A silence is not a sign of weakness, it is a sign of emotional intelligence. It shows that you have reached a level where you no longer need to react to everything around you. You understand not every situation deserves a response, and not every person has earned the right to hear your voice. Maturity teaches you that reacting quickly is easy, but staying silent requires discipline. It requires control, patience, and wisdom. When you choose silence over argument, you rise above the noise. You refuse to let emotions run your life. You step away from negativity instead of feeding it. You prove to yourself that you can manage your feelings instead of being controlled by them. Silence also shows that you value peace over pride. You don't need to win every debate or prove yourself in every conversation. You know who you are, and that self-awareness becomes your source of calm. Mature silence is rooted in confidence, not fear. When you stay silent, you give yourself time to think, reflect, and respond with clarity instead of impulse. You stop escalating conflict and start preserving stability. People begin to respect you more. Not because you speak loudly, but because you carry yourself with quiet power. Observation is a skill that transforms ordinary people into wise ones, and silence is what sharpens this skill. When you stop talking, you start noticing. You start seeing the small details that most people overlook because they are too busy trying to be heard. Silence opens your eyes to subtle signals, hidden patterns, and unspoken truths. It turns you into someone who can read situations, understand people, and predict outcomes long before others even realize what is happening. In silence, you learn to pay attention, not just to what people say, but to how they say it. You notice their tone, their expressions, their intentions. You begin to differentiate between genuine support and disguised negativity, between real friends and temporary companions, between opportunities and traps. You become more aware of energy, behavior, and motive. Silence also helps you observe your own life. You become more conscious of your habits, your reactions, and the decisions you make without thinking. You notice what drains your energy and what elevates it. You observe the cycles you repeat and the patterns you need to break. This kind of self-observation leads to powerful self-improvement because you cannot change what you cannot see. When you move quietly, you give yourself the space to analyze your environment without pressure. You don't rush to respond. You don't rush to prove anything. You wait, you watch, and you gather information. This patience makes you smarter, calmer, and more strategic. While others act impulsively, you act intelligently. As silence becomes your teacher and observation becomes your advantage, your energy is your currency. It fuels your ambitions, shapes your emotions, and determines the quality of your life. But the truth is, most people waste their energy on noise, arguments, gossip, pointless conversations, meaningless battles, and constant explanations. Silence becomes your shield because it prevents your energy from leaking into places that offer nothing in return. When you choose silence, you stop reacting to everything around you. You don't fall in every trap. You don't engage in every conflict. You don't let people pull you into their chaos. Instead, you conserve your energy for the things that matter, for your growth, your goals, your peace, and your transformation. Silence teaches you to respond only when necessary and to stay silent when speaking would only drain you. Silence also protects you from emotional harm. When you stay quiet, you stop giving people the power to manipulate your feelings. You don't reveal your weaknesses, your triggers, or your vulnerabilities. You maintain control over your inner world. People can guess what you're thinking, but they cannot disrupt your state of mind because silence keeps your emotions protected behind a strong wall. In silence, you learn the difference between worthless battles and worthy investments. You realize that not every comment deserves your attention, not every situation deserves your energy, and not every action requires a reaction. You preserve your strength instead of wasting it trying to convince people, defend yourself, or prove your worth. This protection creates a calmness inside you that becomes unshakable. Your energy becomes balanced, your mind becomes steady, and your heart becomes grounded. Silence teaches you to guard your peace like it is the most valuable thing you own, because it truly is.